especially post the pandemic, there has been a trend of out-migration from certain areas of Delhi. Now, that has actually fueled the Gurgaon demand, both in terms of, buy and rent.
The confidence of the investors is definitely back in the market and in the industry. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, definitely RERA has helped because now the investor has a confidence that there is a regulatory body who is looking into what's happening in the industry, and they will make the stakeholders accountable for their deliveries.
The residential property prices, on an average, rose 7% in all the major realty markets during the quarter, with a renewed thrust on home ownership. Hello everyone. Namaskar, Salaam, Akal, Vanakkam. We are back with a fresh episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com. This is India's first real estate-focused podcast. It brings to you updates, views, and insights about the realty sector, an explainer on a chosen subject, and a deep dive into an industry trend or topic. This episode again is going to do a deep dive, and this time you are going to get insights from our guests on residential property prices based on the findings of the latest report of PropTiger.com. Our guests are Mr. Vikas Wadhawan, Group CFO, REA India and Business Head, PropTiger.com, and Ms. Ankita Sood, Head of Research, PropTiger.com, Housing.com, and Makan.com, to help us with their insights. According to the latest report from PropTiger.com, the first quarter of calendar year 2023 saw a significant rise in residential property prices in India. In this special episode, we will delve into the factors behind this price hike and explore its potential impact on the real estate market. Stay tuned for an insightful discussion on this important topic. Stay tuned for more details. Residential property prices rose sharply during the first quarter, January to March of calendar year 2023, according to a latest PropTiger.com report. According to the report, the residential property prices, on an average, rose 7% in all the major realty markets during the quarter, with a renewed thrust on home ownership. Apart from rise in input cost, the limited supply of the right product and ready-to-move-in projects for the predominant end user have led to the upward push on prices. The report indicates rate of properties in Bengaluru underwent a 10% appreciation in the past 1 year, making it the market with the sharpest uptick in property prices. Pune and Ahmedabad trailed behind the sudden market closely in terms of price increase, with both markets witnessing an 8% and 7% rise in their average property rates, respectively. The report highlights that the cost of owning a house in India continues to rise due to several factors, including the continuous rise in the cost of raw materials and labor, the growing demand for ready-to-move-in properties, and the cessation of government-funded subsidy schemes in March this year. Furthermore, while the Reserve Bank of India has paused the rate hike for now, inflation remains a concern, and the central bank may increase the benchmark lending rate in the next cycle, which could further amplify the rise in property prices. As a result, prospective homebuyers need to monitor market trends and factor in the possibility of increased prices before making any investment decisions. We spoke to Vikas Wadhawan, Group CFO, REA India and Business Head, PropTiger.com, and Ankita Sood, Head of Research, PropTiger.com, Housing.com, and Makan.com, to do a deep dive and help us with the insights from this data. Listen in. Hello, and once again I welcome Vikas and Ankita. Delighted to have you for this show.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, Gaurav. Looking forward to an exciting, insightful discussion.
Ankita, first to you. While residential property prices in key markets across India have risen by around 6% over the past year, Gurugram has experienced an even sharper increase of approximately 13%. What factors do you believe are contributing to this bullish trend in the real estate market, particularly in Gurugram? Are there any unique market forces at play in this region that differentiate it from other major markets in the country, or are there broader factors driving the overall increase in residential property prices?
Sure, Gaurav. So Gurgaon definitely right now is mirroring, an international cosmopolitan city. It's housed to many Fortune 500 companies. Its proximity to the airport, the availability of, grade A office stock, all of these things are trickling down into residential demand, which of course, because of the kind of people that are staying in Gurgaon, so demand is following in suit. And it's matching up to international standards. If I talk in terms of quality of living, the kind of offerings that each of these developments have. So definitely, Gurgaon is being seen as the city to live in by many. The workspaces here, of course, connectivity to the airport plays a very, very important part. And one important, insight that I would like to highlight is that, especially post the pandemic, there has been a trend of out migration from certain areas of Delhi. Now, that has actually fueled the Gurgaon demand, both in terms of, buy and rent. And that definitely is also pushing the capital values of the city, because most of that, the gentry that's moving in from Delhi, they're looking for ready to move in properties mostly. And that's in very short supply in Gurgaon right now. So apart from the infrastructure and the quality of life that the city has to offer, the out migration of neighboring areas is adding to that appetite, especially post the pandemic. That's actually, led to the property price increase. 13% is a weighted average. But if I talk about certain key locations such as Golf Course Road, Golf Course Extension Road, uh, property prices have definitely gone up even higher than 13%.
Right. Thanks, Ankita. Vikas, real estate has long been regarded as one of the best asset classes for investors. And in fact, the recent consumer sentiment survey by your group company Housing.com has suggested that real estate continues to be a great asset class for the majority of investors. Given the recent fluctuations in property prices, do you believe this trend will continue into the future? Or are we likely to see a stabilization of prices in the near term? Is it too early to predict whether the current market conditions are indicative of a long term trend or a temporary deviation from the norm? Vikas?
Yeah, Gaurav. No, thanks. I think this is a very, very pertinent question. So, Gaurav, when we look at any asset class from an investment perspective, there are three factors which are important for an investment decision, and it's not only the price, right? Price is just one factor. That am I getting the right appreciation on an asset in which I have invested? That one factor, which is to be kept in mind. But the two other factors which are equally important, that am I investing in a safe asset? Will that investment stays, or will that money vanishes, like sometime what we see in the financial markets because of the share prices of some of the financial assets goes up and down, right? And the third important aspect which needs to be kept in mind is, will I be able to make an exit when I want to sell this investment, right? So if we look at these three aspects, I think from a confidence perspective, the confidence of the investors is definitely back in the market and in the industry. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, definitely RERA has helped, because now the investor has a confidence that there is a regulatory body who is looking into what's happening in the industry, and they will make the stakeholders accountable for their deliveries. Second, the consolidation in the market, which has resulted in that the players whose balance sheets were uh, uh, not uh, sufficient to carry out the economic activity, or deliver their projects, they've churned out from the market. So the developers who are doing activity in the market are well regarded developers. They are the big brand names. So it increases the consumer confidence as well as the investor confidence. The third is the pricing, which, while you're saying fluctuating, I mean, if you look at the last few quarters, it's only moving in the right direction. And when we talk about pricing, I think Ankita has pointed a very pertinent thing, that when we talk about pricing, we don't need to look at the average pricing of a city, because that doesn't give you the right picture. We need to break it down and look at the micro market level, and at a project level, and at a particular asset class level, right? Asset segment level. So if we look at that, I think prices are moving in the right direction. And if you ask me how the prices will going to move for the next couple of years, prices will only going to go up from here for the next couple of years. And there are a few reasons. One, prices have not gone up for a long time in the past. Inflation is hitting the developers. The cost of delivery and the cost of compliance has gone up for the developers. The cost of labor has gone up, right? All these reasons, unless the prices goes up, it's hard for the developers to maintain their margins and do the deliveries. So prices will going to go up, and that is where investors, looking at all the three factors, are jumping into the market, and that's reflected on in terms of traffic on our portals. Gaurav?
Thanks, Vikas. Very deep insights, and thanks for the perspective. Ankita, despite a national trend of rising property prices, some key markets such as Chennai, Mumbai, and Hyderabad have seen much more modest price increases, ranging from 1 to 5%. What factors do you believe are driving this variance across different regions within these cities?
So Gaurav, I wouldn't read much into the 1% or 5% price increase as modest. Again, continuing from what I said, and Vikas has also highlighted, these are weighted average prices. So if we look at a city level, they would look very moderate. But if you talk about Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, the key localities definitely have seen a sharp increase. And of course, property prices have only gone up in the past 1.5, 2 years. And definitely, because of inflationary pressures, rise in input cost, because very well detailed out all factors. And to add to that, the premium that is being charged over the limited ready to move in inventory, which is definitely much in demand in the country. So prices have gone up. The weighted average prices of Chennai, Mumbai, and Hyderabad would not paint the actual picture when we dissect these numbers and talk about it in a micro market level.
Right. That's a very wonderful insight into how we should read these numbers and the variance of prices across cities. Vikas, last but not the least, what factors do you believe will be most influential in shaping the future trajectory of the real estate market as an asset class?
Yeah, so Gaurav, as I mentioned just a few minutes back, I think, as I mentioned, three factors which I was explaining. Two factors seems to be becoming more like a table stake, which is the confidence in the industry and the developers, because the industry has grown significantly and kind of addressed the structural issues, and liquidity, because the demand and supply is happening and transparency is improving in the market. The liquidity is there. People are able to make an exit as and when they want. So these two factors are table stake. I think the biggest factor which will gonna shape the future trajectory of real estate market as an asset class, investment asset class, is gonna be the pricing. And as I explained, inflation has impacted the market, and now from here onwards, the prices has to move up for sustainability in the sector. And I see no reason why the prices will not going to go up, because there is a strong demand sentiment in the market. So that is the time when we've seen in different markets when the price start moving up. So we are at the right time. I clearly see a positive trajectory, not only from an end user perspective, but also from an investor perspective going forward.
Thank you, Vikas and Ankita, for these insights.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gaurav.
That's it from us for this episode. We shall be back again with a fresh episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com with information and insights on the real estate industry. You can catch the episode on Housing.com on the Housing.com app, on earshot.in, Spotify.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Ghana.com, and Geo7. Take care and stay safe.